Nerds, why is everything so much more expensive than it used to be? Why, I can remember a time many decades before I was even born when comic books were only a quarter. A simpler time when you could put in an honest day's work at the mill and stop by the Circuit City on the way home and pick up the newest video game and not have to pay $70 or $80. You remember, right? Great games for the SNES like Castlevania 4 or Chrono Trigger. Wait, hold on a second. What? Chrono Trigger was how much? Well, at least a man could buy a Neo Geo for a reasonable price. It cost what? We got to talk about this. Today, we're talking about the cost of being a nerd. Welcome to episode 22 of The Hills Have Nerds, the only podcast guaranteed to never increase in value. I mean cost. I'm one of your hosts, Josh, and joining me today is Aaron.
Why, hello.
And Lee.
Hello.
We ain't got no Cody and Travis here today. They may join in a little bit later. I make no promises.
We can't afford them.
Couldn't afford them. We definitely can't afford Travis, even though he's free. So today we're going to talk about the cost of being a nerd, and what we mean by that is the progression of the expenditure of hobbies of hobbyism over the course of nerddom, right? So we're going to look at how much some of the first video game systems sold for and what that looks like now. And we're going to look at the initial price of comic books and, figurines and tabletop RPG books, and then look at where they're at now and talk about what that looks like adjusted for inflation and what we think is causing all this and all that. And this is an in-depth conversation, right? Like there's a lot of stuff that leads to this.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not an economist, or any of you all.
Oh, you know me. That's all I have to say about it.
Yeah, I'm closer to bankrupt than I am an economist.
But this is still, I think, an important conversation to look at because what I want to get into first is what spurred this conversation on. And anybody that's listening, we are recording this. It is April 22nd. We are 6 days from live, so this will come out on April 28th. Hopefully you're listening to this on the 28th. Thank you for listening immediately. Yeah. But there is something happening in a couple days in the US. Anybody want to know what that is?
Is anybody know Nintendo Switch 2 pre-order?
Yeah. Nintendo Switch 2 goes up for pre-order, and there has been a lot of conversation about the Switch 2.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, you're right. And so
I actually think calling it a conversation is probably very polite.
There's been a lot of screaming back. There's been a lot of rage, a lot of nerd rage, and a lot of internet hyperbole. As we nerds are a passionate bunch, right? A lot of this stuff comes from just passion. We're passionate about the things we enjoy. We're passionate about our hobbies. We want them to be available. We want to think that these things are set at an approachable price point where this is something that is not limited to the upper echelon of people. Like only those who are living champagne wishes and caviar dreams are going to get to, jump on Koopas and Goombas, right? So we don't want that. So I mean, I get it. Like I get a little bit of the vitriol, I think. I mean, what do you guys think?
Oh yeah, you definitely get it.
Yeah, if anybody gets it, it's you.
We haven't gotten hate mail yet, so maybe we'll get it here.
Maybe.
Yeah.
for once, I'm happy for our overlords and the prices that we are currently paying. I say bring it on. I had too much money in my bank account anyway.
Yeah, we've been living too high on the hog for too long. Yeah. Oh my
Time to
God.
knock us down a peg.
We let those student loans slide one time, right?
Okay, we're this. I gotta temper myself in this conversation a little bit. All right. So Nintendo Switch 2, that's what we're talking about. So it was announced, early April, the official announcement, like the official, we had the Nintendo Switch 2 or was that March when they officially
March.
Yeah,
when did we have the direct for it?
Seems like it was March.
Oh, that was the first Nintendo Direct. I thought the Nintendo Direct for the Switch 2 was in April.
No, it was in March.
Either way, just a few months ago or a few weeks ago, whatever have you, we got the price point for the Nintendo Switch 2, which should already be up for pre-order. Hopefully, if you pre-ordered it, you didn't have any issues. I know the UK didn't have any issues.
Yeah.
I didn't see a lot of people complaining about not being able to get their pre-orders in.
Yeah, the original announcement was on April 2nd.
Hey, see, I was right.
I thought it was in March as well, but okay.
That's why I'm the leader.
Follow me, my people.
So we got that, and we got a $450 price point. We got $10 performance upgrades for Switch games. We're getting a free one for Scarlet and Violet, which is fantastic.
Performance. We're getting performance for Scarlet and Violet.
We're getting not a performance upgrade. We're getting performance.
Now working as intended.
Yeah. And we got $80 Mario Kart announced, which has rustled some jimmies in the gaming community.
Oh, those jimmies.
Oh yeah. They've very rustled.
Without getting too deep into our feelings on this stuff, what do you guys think about the Nintendo Switch price point and all of that?
Aaron, you want to go first?
Don't want to be anything in depth because we're gonna go through. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna kind of cover like a history of video game cost progression, and then at the end we'll kind of go over our outlook on it. But just kind of just brief, real quick. Jerome, what you think?
Well, I'm on the fence a little bit. Like I get every year that a new console comes out, they always raise the price of the games every year, and I mean it's nothing new.
Is
and
it
to a point? And to a point, it's to a point that's you got to understand. There more goes into the games. They got to pay more people. There's constant increase in prices, but at the same time, like I hate it. I mean, I hate that it goes up all the time. So, I mean,
well,
I'm kind of on the fence. Go ahead.
$450 for the Switch 2. I'm like, yay. That sounds crazy, but it's like, dude, we paid $500 for the PlayStation 3. We paid $500 for the Xbox One, $500 for the PlayStation 5, $500 for the Xbox Series X. I mean, like, we've been paying $500 outright for a lot of stuff recently, but it's like people think Nintendo needs to be cheaper or something. I don't know what the deal is there because it's a good piece of hardware. Yeah. I bought a handheld PC, an ROG Ally. I think it was last summer, and I paid $500 for mine. And it's like, it does what it does, and I'm very happy with it. And I imagine the Switch will do exactly what I want it to do. So I was like, I'm paying $500 for a new system. What's new? It's been this way for a while now.
Yeah, I like that you guys are kind of like two sides of the street a little bit.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people comparing them to like the Steam Decks, like the price point for the Steam Decks on them.
Yeah, Steam Deck's more expensive, isn't it?
Depending on what version you get, there is a version that's not.
So, which I mean, the Steam Deck is less powerful than the Switch too, as well. So
I think a little bit of the some of the pain point for that price is, you're getting a Switch 2 that is, I mean, it's essentially what the specs of like a PS4.
Yeah.
Right. So we're getting last gen hardware in our next gen console for a next gen price. And so I can see, I'm not taking either side right now, but I can see, I think that's where some of the pain point comes from. That's at least what I've seen some of the arguments are for.
I will say though, you can't take your PS4 on the road with you and play games.
Yeah, sure.
Portability is a big thing, dude.
So is that?
Yeah.
This would be much cheaper as just a console system than just a carry on.
So we talked about PlayStation. So let's talk about PlayStation. So let's get into place, kind of segue in. So the Nintendo Switch 2 was delayed by, or the final little announcement thing, they kind of delayed by tariffs, or they delayed the pre-order. If anybody lives under a rock, the United States has sent out a whole bunch of tariffs to a whole bunch of places. We are not a political podcast. I try not to be. What best I can.
Just check the news to see where we stand today.
Yeah. So we're gonna try not to get super into that, no matter how dumb or unnecessary we think they are.
Or absolutely necessary.
Yep. But so there was a delay in the States in allowing pre-orders for the Nintendo Switch 2. And everybody was worried, is this going to increase price? It's going to come back out. Price point's going to be up. So it's $450 base, $499 with Mario Kart 8 or Mario Kart Worldwide or whatever it is, right? Yep. The open world Mario Kart, which is that's cool. I don't really get the draw of that. I don't play Mario Kart because I want to GTA it. I play Mario Kart because I want to race on a track, but it is what it is.
Well, that's a different topic. I won't go into that.
But yeah, $499 with an $80 game. I'm doing air quotes.
Oh, so for those who can't see.
But then when they came back and they made the announcement that, hey, the pre-orders are opening up, the price didn't change. They said they're not changing the price of the Switch too. Well, okay, cool. But
the
accessories changed. The price of the accessories changed. And we'll talk about that. And they didn't go up like tremendously. I think it was like $5, $6 on most of them, something like that. But that's something. But what I wanted to point out is the PlayStation 5 Pro, which we've known about for a long time, far before the tariffs were a thing, has a $700 price point.
Go Sony.
That is crazy. That's a lot. Like, I look at that. I mean, I see that sounds crazy is what I should say. Like, that's a lot. That seems like a lot even nowadays. Even when, in the intro, we talked back in the day when things were cheaper, and we'll find out if they actually are, or they actually were, if we're just kind of rose tinting everything. But 700 is a lot, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I remember when it came out, everybody was like, "Man, $700."
For a current gen console that's already been released. What's it like? What's the difference?
I on the defense for the PlayStation 5 Pro, I don't have one. I won't be buying one to my knowledge, but if I could afford it, I probably would, dude. It's interested in upgrading graphics and such, and there's a lot of there's the people that would say, why don't you just get a PC at that point? It's like, dude, a $700 PC is not going to play stuff the PlayStation 5 Pro is going to play the same way.
Absolutely.
It's going to play things. It's going to play Fortnite.
Some of the when you Google it, so I Googled PlayStation 5 Pro and it has like the sponsored shopping ads, and one of them's Walmart. And at the bottom of it, it has like two little like really quick short reviews. And the reviews for the $699 PlayStation 5 Pro console is performs well and attractive.
Hey. I am neither of those things, so whatever.
I think I've seen Thai hookers with the exact same reviews. So there you go. And for a lot cheaper than $700.
Yeah, and backwards compatible.
All right, moving on. But yeah, so the price point for the Nintendo Switch, just put it in perspective, the PlayStation 5 Pro, $700 prior to the tariffs. Who knows if stuff's going to be up. A lot of things are being hit really hard by this stuff. The board game industry is being hit tremendously hard. We're probably going to see price increases there. We don't know exactly how that's going to plan out, so we're not really going to go into that on this episode. In a few months, decent chance of it, I would like to do something about the board game industry. We've just seen one of the more popular US-based storefronts, Boardlandia, is closing its doors due to those things. Kind of a big deal, but
That's sad.
we won't get too doom and gloom right now. Let's talk about, so let's go back. Let's go back a little bit.
Okay.
So if some of the pain points are that video gaming now, the cost of being a nerd now is so much more expensive. It's so much more expensive than it was. You know, why are video game prices going up? Aaron, you even said, you know, in your talk about the 450 price point, video games increase every time a new console comes out.
Well, yeah.
Well,
Technology changes. Not to mention that means they have to hire more people. You were going to go talk. Go ahead.
no, you're good. You're good.
Yep.
Keep going.
No.
So is that the case? Lee, is that the case? Do you think that is the case?
I think I got lost there. What were we talking about again?
Who are you people?
I was like, I'll pick back up on this. I was like, then it was all like pronouns, and I was like, where's the antecedent? Where's the antecedent? I'm lost.
No, we're talking about price points, and do the prices of video games, of the actual game, increase? Has that been true historically? Have they increased with every new console?
I don't think so. My knee-jerk reaction is to say no. Because we've been at 60 for a while, haven't we? Or had been.
We've been there for a bit.
So we got what? PS2 was probably still 50, I think. PS3 was 60. PS4 was 60. PS5 was 60. And then near the end, it started hitting 70, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or now it's hitting 70. And then now Nintendo's like, crank it up.
So now that was at that time, right? So if we look at that stuff, so we want to try to adjust that for inflation now and look at what in today's money those systems and their games would have been. So let's start with Papal. Let's start with the NES. Sound good?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. The NES came out in 1985. We had a few before that. We had the Atari. We had the Atari 2600, the Intellivision, Atari 5200, and ColecoVision. Excuse me. And the ColecoVision. Then we had the NES in 1985. That's the household name. Good Lord, I'm eating sentences right now. So the original price in 1985, this is in the US, for the Nintendo Entertainment System was $200, $199. That's much cheaper than the Switch 2. That's $250 cheaper than the Switch 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would think.
The adjusted price for that in today money, in now money, if you bought it today, would be $576.
And worth it.
It's $126 more than the Switch. The games for that system were coming out at
40?
what? Right around 40. Yeah, 40, 45, 50, maybe like 30 to 50, somewhere through there. Now that's $146. $146 a game if you bought them in today's money.
For a 45-minute game.
Yeah. But that's And at first glance, when this is our first system we've talked about with that. So let's go on another system before I make this point. So let's look at the Sega. Sega, 1989, $189. Cheaper than the NES. The Sega Genesis was cheaper than the NES. $477 today. Games were $127 adjusted for today's price. $127 a game. You're gonna pay $127 for Mortal Kombat. For Sonic 1, you pay $127.
Yeah, I'm a champion for games, and I'm like, you know what, these games are worth money, but not, dude, Sonic's not worth $127. Like, if Sonic came out now and blew my mind the way it did back then, I still wouldn't be like, that's worth $127, dude.
Let's hit the PS5 Pro of 1990. The Neo Geo. Aaron, how much was the Neo Geo when it came out?
The Neo Geo?
Take a guess. I gave you a hint when I introduced it.
Neo Geo was probably, I'm going to say $600.
$649 for the Neo Geo. In 1990 money.
Oh.
That's $1,500 now. That is a good computer.
Yeah, that's a solid computer, dude.
That is a solid computer.
That's a decent computer.
Yeah.
That can play Fortnite.
Same thing with the 3DOi. The 3DO Interactive. $699 in 1993. $1,500 now. How crazy is that?
That's nuts. In 1993 to have $700.
But those were the cutting edge. Those were the cutting edge graphics of that time, right? Those were the PS5 Pros of that time. Now, playing through them now, they ain't.
Yeah. That was huge pieces of tech too, because the Neo Geo was basically an arcade machine at home.
Yeah.
The 3DO was intended to be like a full on multimedia, like watch your movies, whatever else. Get your smut on there too. We should talk about that sometime, but you get your smut on the 3DO too, and get some encyclopedias, all kinds of good stuff, and play a couple of games. But it's only going to cost you the same price as a computer.
Now, one of the, according to this graph we've got from, I'll have to link the site. I got it pulled up over here. So we have a graph of inflation adjusted prices for console games. The Atari was the most affordable of this era. So the Atari 7800, I should specify.
That's so funny that is in 1986 too, because this was post crash, and Atari's probably just trying to pick up the pieces at that point.
Yeah. So the system was $139. The games in current dollars be about 80 or about $86, which is still, that's more than Mario Kart Worldwide. Is it Mario Kart Worldwide? Is that what it's called? No.
World Tour? Maybe?
World Tour. There it is. It's more than the new Mario Kart, but in current dollars, they're the most affordable. And we jump forward a little bit.
Crazy Castle or something.
Yeah. We jump forward a little bit and we get the SNES. SNES, $200 on launch in 1991 money. $459 today is what you would pay for an SNES adjusted for inflation.
So we're buying Super Nintendos again.
Yep.
Do you know how much Super Nintendo games were?
They were probably 70.
They were about $70 or $80. I don't know if that's on average though. I think there were some that were in the 50 to 60 range, but Chrono mentioned in the intro, Chrono Trigger, Castlevania 4, Donkey Kong Country 2, John Madden Football. Those were $70 to $80 games.
John Madden. Oh my God.
John Madden. Oh yeah.
I'm gonna be sick.
The precursor, the great grandpappy of the most successful video game franchise of all time.
Oh my goodness.
John Madden Football, $80 game.
Yeah, that's okay. So you'd be mad to think about how much that would be nowadays. Like, cause this adjusted inflation chart doesn't account for certain It's probably average Super Nintendo game prices because, as you said,
it is average.
It's really all over the place. And I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I think that's where we're heading because it was a huge spread, dude. Like there were some games coming out that were $80. I don't remember a $90 Super Nintendo game, $80, $85. But then there's also games that are like $20, $25. So I think that's where we're heading. Big spread again.
Well, do you think that those games that were, and what was causing the spread, do you think that value was justified?
I mean, probably not. I mean, I guess you could argue the amount of hours and such because I think the hardware really affected the cost of the game too. Like as I recall, Street Fighter Alpha 2. I think I'd mentioned this to you, Josh, in conversation. I think Street Fighter Alpha 2 was kind of expensive, but it has it's a special cart. Games like Mega Man X2, Mega Man X3 are special carts. Yoshi's Island. Yeah, those are very special hardware. Now I don't remember Star Fox being that expensive though, and that's a very special cart.
So, do you guys have this chart that I've pulled up?
Yes.
So, do you see where the downturn starts to go? Do you guys get what caused that?
Oh,
where it starts to trend down in average price?
I know, boss.
What is it? That way, Aaron, do you know? Do you know why it's trending down? It was right around the era of the end of the Nintendo 64 era, beginning of the PlayStation, moving into that. Why is there such a and it is a pretty sudden drop off in average price for video games?
I don't know what it is.
Oh, I do.
What is it, Lee?
Discs.
They were easier to make than cartridges. It's a hell of a lot easier to make a disc than it is a cartridge.
And Nintendo said no.
Yeah.
They did.
And now it's like, do disc. And Nintendo's like, no, we're making cartridges.
Now, they did it with GameCube. They tried, they dabbled. They did
GameCube, Wii, and Wii U.
Those weird disc, Wii and Wii U. Dude, I've pretty well forgot about the Wii U. I've tried to just wipe that out of my memory.
Most people have.
I literally only used it to watch Breaking Bad on the toilet. That was the only thing I used our Wii U for. Everything else I played on the Wii or my PC.
Yeah, some might argue that's the most appropriate use for the Wii
U. Oh, here's a cool little console price. So we talk about handhelds. So we talk about the Switch. What's the grandfather of the Switch? It's the NES, right? But the Game Boy, right? We're talking about handhelds. We're moving into that handheld stuff.
Oh yeah.
The Game Boy. How much do you guys think the Game Boy was when it first came out?
Was it $89?
$89.
I didn't even have to look. Son.
$89 in 1989 money. Walking around folding money. You get you a Game Boy for less than $90. $225 now.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, $225 now. That's crazy. Game Boy Color, $79. $10 less in 1998 than the Game Boy was.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah. $153 in today's money for a Game Boy Color. If you bought it, got it in there. And there is not a single other console that on release, other than, at least on this list that we're looking at on Visual Capitalist, the Game Boy Color and then the Game Boy Advanced was the last console that is on this list, goes all the way up to the PlayStation 5 Pro, that released for under $100. So 2001, $99 for the Game Boy Advanced, $175 in today's money. Last one under $100.
Wow.
Every 3DS $250, PlayStation Portable $250, DS $150, Switch $299, Switch Lite $199, and then adjusted for inflation, add about $70 to $50 to those.
Dude,
yeah, the Switch is still $386 adjusted for inflation right now, and that was just 2017.
Yeah. But we're not talking politics, boys.
We're not. We're not.
We're not going to touch that. Good, but it's okay. It's wild to look at. Yeah, there you go. It's wild to look at the Game Boys And just think about Nintendo printing money, dude. Holy moly.
Oh yeah.
Like the cheap hardware. I mean, they're selling that cheap hardware, probably profiting off of every piece of hardware at that point too. Nintendo DS for $149. Oh my goodness, that thing printed money.
And I think it's easy. I think it's a good time to talk about this now. I think it's really easy to look at this and be like, oh man, the Nintendo, the NES was $199 when it came out. And people go, see, it was only $200 when they were releasing that. And then we look at it adjusted for inflation and we say, oh, it's $576. It would be $576 now. So $450 is really good for a Switch. Well, is it though? Because there's a lot of other nuance to that argument. I feel like you're also looking at like our dollar's buying power. Are we as nerds, as collectors, as gamers, as consumers, are we getting the same bang for our buck that our parents were, when they were nerds or when they were getting it for us when we were younger? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let me make sure I'm understanding this correct, because if I am understanding this correct, I'm going to say yeah, actually. So when you think about how much time you get out of a game, I think that probably makes it the better deal, really, with the new stuff. Because, like, dude, you get so many hours of content. Like, we buy games like crazy. Like, I'm guilty. We buy games like crazy, but it's like, when you really look at it, the time that you have available, the amount of hours you can get out of that price point is insane compared to something like the NES. If you have a game for the NES that was $146 for when adjusted for inflation, it might last 2 hours. Now, that's not every game, obviously, but there weren't a whole lot of long games, dude. Now, you can replay, but you can also replay the new ones. So it's like, are we getting more bang for our buck? I tend to think so, actually. I think we're just kind of eating too good sometimes.
Okay. Aaron, what do you think?
I mean, I agree. I agree with Lee. I mean, I was actually just looking
Capitalist pigs.
We're capitalist pigs.
So
take my money.
The average 100% of Super Mario World takes about 5 hours. And the average run for Super Mario Odyssey is 12.5 hours.
Okay. What were the price? What was the price of Super Mario World?
What was the complete on Mario Odyssey, though? It's got to be more than 12 hours, right?
Oh, for 100%, I'm probably. Let's see. Hold on, I've switched.
Because that's two different points of contention there. Like, we got the completion. You've seen everything in the game in Super Mario World in 5 hours. Mario Odyssey's kind of huge.
5 hours, really?
Yep.
Yeah,
oh my god, I got to be horrible at video games. It took me a hell of a lot longer than 5 hours to 100%.
That's
Super Mario World.
That's not even the fastest time. That was the average time that Google told me. So Super Mario released at a price point of $30. Super Mario World.
See, that's so much. So that's an SNES game, and that is such a drastic change from like Chrono Trigger and Castlevania 4.
It does seem to me like the later games in the Super Nintendo era is the ones that were the most expensive.
So I'm getting 9.5 hours for Super Mario World.
Okay, so Super Mario Odyssey completionist, 62 hours.
62.
Wow.
Yeah.
I believe it.
There's a lot, dude. There's a lot to that game.
I believe it. Yeah.
I think about Elden Ring. My goodness. I got more than my money's worth out of that game.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I tend to agree, and my stance for video games as a hobby, they are to me the best bang for your buck. Period.
Agreed.
Across the hobby sphere, across the nerdosphere, the amount of entertainment hours you get versus price spent or versus cost is just crazy ratio. Versus like a comic book or
a movie,
going to the movies.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah.
Right.
You don't watch a lot of movies multiple times. But I
Right.
mean, there's games.
But even then, I'm paying for it again. Like I'm paying for that movie again.
True.
Right? Like I saw Endgame in theaters 4 times. I spent at least $30 every time I went to see it.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's a lot.
You could almost buy Mario Kart.
That's $120 for 12 hours of entertainment when I could have got Mario Odyssey and had 30 or 60 hours of entertainment, right? I could have gotten World of Warcraft and had infinitely more than that. I paid $15 a month, but gaming is a very good bang for your buck. Now, that being said, I think we can still be critical of the price points because my concern comes down to nerds today and what discretionary income they have versus what nerds back then had. What percentage of your overall income is able to be discretionary? When I say discretionary, I mean used not to keep a roof over your head, not to make sure you have food.
Your expendable income.
Yeah. Income that if you dropped it on the ground and never saw it again, it's not going to hurt you. Right? I mean, it may hurt you emotionally, but not, physically.
I don't know any income like that.
Yeah. But that's what I'm getting at. Like that's kind of where the nuance of this conversation comes down to. And I, like I said, we said at the beginning, we're not economists. I'm not an economist. I don't know the answer to this.
No, I drop a penny and I dive in the puddle for it.
I know it feels like it's tougher on average.
Yeah. To counter myself and thinking about the hours and that sort of concept, I think this might fit. This might be some nuance, or it might just be heavy-handed, ham-fisted. Josh, ham-fist
me.
So thinking about it like this too, it's like you could also make the argument, if that's my logic, then you could say that the best bang for your buck for food would be like pumpkin pie from Sam's Club, which is like a bajillion calories for like $6 worth of pie.
Yeah.
But it's like, is that necessarily good? Does that necessarily make it of more value than other things?
Yeah, that comes to opinionated.
Well, it's calories versus your time. Yeah.
Well, yeah. What can you personally enjoy better for your money?
I also think like trying to compare food, like food is a necessity, right? Like you really want to get down to it. Buy a nutrition brick that gives you
right
exactly that are 25 cents. That's a little different. I don't know if that's like a stark a fair comparison to make. I'd like to keep our comparisons in the video game, the entertainment sphere.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking though, is like, even if it is like you have all this time, all this potential in calories and hours, whatever, it doesn't necessarily mean it's like it's good. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I know it's obviously not a great comparison, the apples and oranges, but it's like when you think about what you're getting for the value.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Like a long game does not make a good game necessarily.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, then again, there were a lot of short bad games too. It's
without a doubt.
That comes down to, like you said, Aaron, that is personal opinion. But looking at the potential for entertainment, right? That's what we want to look at. What is my potential for entertainment? Not necessarily what was my actual entertainment. I've definitely bought games before that I've sat down and go, I'm going to enjoy this. And I'm 30 minutes into it. And I'm like, this is dog shit. I don't want to play this anymore.
This is Modern Warfare 3. I remember. It was awful.
Yeah. So, there's nuance to that. But like I said, my concern is yes, video games now, gaming in general as a hobby, and to an extent, board games too. I extend that out to because there are more like legacy, like lifestyle games for board gaming that I think are still, you get a lot of entertainment value and socialization value out of that if you have people over versus the amount of money you have to put in. So I always suggest if you're nerding on a budget, video games and board games are your friend. Absolutely. Especially the bargain bin are your friend. Steam. Let's talk about Steam. Dude, we didn't have Steam back in the day. We didn't have I'm just about cursed again. We didn't have stuff on sale every 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Steam sales make my wallet cry.
We didn't have Humble Bundle. We didn't have G2A. We didn't have all this stuff.
Yeah.
It was, whatever the price of it, whatever it was at Toys R Us, that's what it was going to be.
Yep.
Right? Hell, you didn't even really have the internet. You didn't have eBay. You couldn't even go bid on it.
No.
Nope. Just kind of
So-
stuck with whatever's there. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about like good games, bad games, like to the price? I just want to point out, like, you have AAA games like Nintendo produces, like even for the Switch, $70. And then you have, and those have a lot of manpower behind them. They have a lot of technology. They have a lot of mechanics. But then you have Stardew Valley, and it's one guy who started working on it himself.
Yeah.
And Stardew Valley was $15.
And we talk about Stardew Valley all the time.
Yeah.
And I think that is a good alternative. These indie games, if you are turned off by the price point of a Nintendo Switch 2, you don't need it. There's all kinds of great stuff.
Oh yeah.
To get into it. There's all kinds of indie games. There's all kinds of, older console stuff that's coming out. And it will eventually go down. It will happen.
Yeah, it's I don't want to get too political, but that's something. It's always like it's somehow, somewhere we have flopped, because it used to, those companies had to fight for customers, and now it seems like customers are fighting for companies. Like they can put out whatever price point they want, and we have to try to reach that point. And used to, it was companies had to be like, we need to find a point where people will buy our product.
Yeah. I think the boots get licked.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I can't say much because Nintendo puts out a Zelda game, I'm like,
I'm the biggest hypocrite on the planet because I'm constantly bitching at Nintendo for what they're doing to Pocket Pair, which Pocket Pair has presented some really strong arguments in their suit about why those patents are absolutely null and void. So this is going to be exciting to see where that goes. That's a little update on the Nintendo Pocket Pair lawsuit.
God,
that's why the Switch is so expensive. Friggin' Pocket Pair.
The lawyers. But I mean, we paid $350 for the Switch one almost 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We're paying $100 more for this one now.
Yeah.
Right. $150 more if we get Mario Kart World Tour.
And honestly, the system itself, I think, is a fine point.
Yeah.
I hate that the games are increasing. I just want to point out that was my biggest.
Yeah, and that's probably the biggest pain point, I think. Not so much the Switch itself, but the games.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I'm with you. Like I'm a bit of a bootlicker for Nintendo, but it's for certain things, and I think that we still draw the line of what we pay, what we are willing to pay. I mean, think about that game Gollum. I mean, it was bad. So we got shut down. But there's like, and it's not like I want to call out hypocrisy by any means. It's like we're all hypocrites to some degree, right? But it's like people that love GTA are going to pay $80 to $100 for GTA. If Nintendo was like, the new Zelda is going to be $80, I'm like, you know what? Given that history with Zelda and how much I've loved everything I've played, take my money. Yeah. Now I'll just sacrifice something else. Maybe that sucks for the market, because it's like, well, that means I'm probably not going to buy another game because I can't afford to buy this other game. But you know what? I'll throw my money at Nintendo for that.
I mean, I did that exact thing when they came out and they were like Skyward Sword on Switch. I was like, how dare you? I've already played this game as I'm at the checkout counter, and I'm like, this is stupid. Why would I buy this game?
We have the perfect example of that happening today. So again, it is April 22nd. Those of you in the future listening to this, so we were recording this on April 22nd. Those of you in the future, what happened 6 days ago? What dropped today? Lee, you've been playing it.
Oh, the Oblivion.
Yeah, right? HD remake of Oblivion, a 20-year-old game. Probably more than that now.
I think it's right at 20, isn't it?
Of Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, HD remake came out today. That is the same content, just a prettier shell, and I bet it is blowing the doors off of Steam.
That's actually interesting. You guys have Steam pulled up where you can check that?
I can.
I'm
It was
interested.
it actually, I was having lunch with Nathan and Ricky today, and we were talking about it, and I asked Ricky, I said, how much is it? And he said, oh, I bet it's $70. I said, oh, that's kind of a lot for a remake. And we looked, it's $50. 50 for the remake. Which,
And it's on Game Pass.
it is on Game Pass. That, again, Game Pass. We didn't have Game Pass back in the day. You didn't have people just dropping stuff off in the mailbox. Like, here's 4 million copies, 4 million games you can use. If you don't want them, that's fine. You can just hold on to them.
Part of me really wants to play the Oblivion, but every time I think about it, I have just a bad taste in my mouth because Oblivion was the introduction to DLC.
Oh,
It
really?
was. This was the
Yep.
horse armor, right? Yeah.
Yep.
This was where the horse armor came from. The first ever paid DLC,
Yep.
the Oblivion horse armor.
Thanks
And
for that
then
stuff.
they introduced the game to you as paid extra.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and it was already in the game. You just basically bought a code to unlock it.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
I do
See, I'm
want to
looking
say,
at
just for encouragement for anybody else interested, that all the DLC is included in this remake. So
Yeah,
that's
I don't
pretty
think
cool.
there's anything extra. The 50 is for the base, and then you get the deluxe edition for 60. And the deluxe edition comes with 2 cosmetic armor sets and horse armor.
Oh my
It's
god.
just- I mean, they just pulled it out. They just whipped it out and shook it at you. Like, you want it. You know you're gonna buy it.
Old Todd, he's
God.
like, that's funny.
170,000 people playing Oblivion on just Steam right now. Not to mention how many are playing on Game Pass.
Yeah, I don't know that I can see that statistic, but I'd like to know because, I mean, shoot. I imagine they got a bunch of subscriptions today for Game Pass.
Oh,
yeah.
I guarantee it.
Yeah, and they've got rid of the dollar.
Just for the heck of it, in case anybody doesn't know what Game Pass is, one of you guys want to say tell them what Game Pass is? We've said it a few times.
Have
I don't
that,
think
Aaron?
we've ever explained it.
Game Pass is it was originally just Xbox, and I think they've extended it to PC now. But it's a collection of games that Microsoft offers that you pay a subscription price, and you have access to the entire library.
I think it's the best deal in gaming.
It really is. Like, there are brand new games on Game Pass.
Oh yeah,
Like, it's
Yeah.
nuts.
As of today.
It genuinely is a really good. Like, it's surprising to me how good that is. But yeah, so Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, like, this is a remake. This is something we've already had. Something we as gamers have already played through, already beaten. We saw 2 decades ago, and they're releasing for, I mean, what is currently a fairly premium price. And
Yep.
it's just got a new coat of paint on it. That's
Yeah.
it. What do we think about that? I mean, how many times did they re-release Super Mario World? None.
Well, Pokemon Red. Never.
well,
Yeah.
the fact that it has it's remastered is amazing alone, because Bethesda is notorious for just re-releasing specifically Skyrim
Oh yeah, they
on
beat
every
Skyrim.
system that comes out. I'm pretty sure it's on refrigerators.
You can play Skyrim on your smart fridge.
Yeah. So, but I mean, at least this one, well, it's still $50.
It was completely built from the ground up, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, according to the video. Now, they could be lying about that, obviously, but they said it was all new assets. I bet they didn't use Patrick Stewart's. I bet they just took his voice lines and did it, though.
Oh yeah.
But either way, yeah, I think there's a price point there, too, like a point of contention, and I would agree. It's like, for re-released content, what are you willing to pay? Because there's some stuff that I'm like, yeah, well, that'd be cool. But then I'm like, there's not so much. Like, had I not been a fan of Lunar, I wouldn't have paid $55 for a physical copy of that game. I'm just a big fan of Lunar.
Here's something interesting. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're
On
good.
the Lunar. I just wanted to talk to kind of put the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion remastered releasing today is absolutely perfect for this conversation. Like that is such a gift to this, because we were talking about inflation and price points through the years. So Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion released in 2006. So we are right at 20 years.
Yep.
The price point for that in 2006. Well, hold on. I'm going to tell you how much it would have been today. Would have been today. Give me 2 seconds. I'm on the inflation calculator right here. Today, that game would be $80 for what we paid for it in 2006. Do you know how much the price of it was in 2006?
30.
I'm say 60.
$50. The exact same it is now. I can't be mad at that.
Yeah,
I can.
You know what I mean? Like I can't fight that. I mean, I know. I mean, people will. I guarantee there are people who are going to be real pissed off this came out. Here's a crazy thing. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to do that.
Now, what do you mean, Josh?
What are you talking about? You just got talking crazy. What's this? This dude thinks he get podcasting. Tell me what to do with my money? No, I'm gonna buy it and I'm gonna bitch about it.
It reminds me of that Steve Martin like SNL skit where it's like, if you don't have the money, don't buy it. And they're like, wait a minute, that's what you say.
This is optional. Whoa.
Yeah,
but it's the same price. It did not increase for inflation, and it looks better. This is an improved version of that prior game for the same price.
No, this one I'm actually okay with. There are others that have called themselves or just HD remasters, and it's just the same game, but they put like
Warcraft 3.
they put new textures on it to make them look a little bit better. It's the same models. They just have an HD texture pack, essentially. Yeah. And then they charge full price for it.
What I'm hoping is that the modding community is what has held those, like, has kind of thwarted that, because basically any game you can think of, if it's on PC or you can play it on PC, there's a mod out there to make it look better.
Oh, yeah.
That's two things that always comes out in the first. One is an HD pack. Secondly is nudity.
And then the HD nude pack.
And then Shrek.
Stack them.
We gamers eat well, don't we, boys? We eat well. All right,
make it prettier, make it nude, and put me a train in there. Almost the tank again.
Let's move on from video games. We got a little bit. I know, Lee, you got to leave here in a minute. I wanted to touch on some other stuff. So, like I said, our big focus here was video games, just because the Switch 2 and the delay and the concern around the price points was spurring on a lot of conversation, and we wanted to talk about that. And thought it was interesting just to see how prices have progressed through the years. Yeah. So, like we said, for gaming, for video games, we see that the prices kind of got to a point and they've kind of leveled off in the last, however, like since discs became a thing, it's kind of leveled off relative to each other, which is interesting, right?
Yeah.
Now, whether that's an approach, whether $450 for a Switch 2 is something you deem for you an approachable price, that's a decision you got to make. You know,
I think everyone should lower their prices to my economy.
You want to talk about some bullcrap in increasing prices since they came out? Let's talk about comic books.
Oh boy.
Let's talk about comic books. When comics first hit newsstands, Lee, what was the median cover price amongst all comics? That's the median price in 1961 when the first comic books came out.
That was the first comic books?
1961-ish. This is what they were in 1960. Not the first comic books in 1961, but around 1961. How much more? This is when we were getting Marvel, DC, and Archie comics. This is when we actually had like a significant number of the heavy hitters now.
Was it a quarter?
10 cents.
Oh, wow.
10 cents. They wouldn't hit a quarter for another 13 years till 1974. 1974 is when Marvel hit a quarter, DC hit a quarter in 75. Archie Comics hit a quarter in 74.
You took that quarter and you picked up yourself a comic book, a pack of bubble gum, a hot dog, and a soda.
Yeah.
And a
Now,
Volkswagen
10
Beetle.
cents, 10 cents in today's money, and you all listening may see what I'm getting at here. If you have bought a comic book recently, 10 cents in today's money, because remember, we were looking at, the Nintendo Switch 2 is a really good value compared to older consoles and what they paid as a proportion, with considering inflation, right? That was a good value. And the NES would have been almost $600 in today's money. In today's money, 10 cents is $1.07. Anybody bought a comic book recently?
Yeah.
Do you think they're $1.07?
Nope.
No.
They are, as of the last comic book I bought was about $5.
Yeah. I would say they range from $5 to $8.
That is a 500% increase over recognized inflation.
Did you say they're $5 to $8 now?
Yeah.
About anywhere. So you're looking at like $4 for your typical ones. For like your typical comic's going to be like $3.99 to $5. Average of all cover prices. We're looking at Comicron for these numbers. Average of all cover prices as of 2023. It may have went up a little bit, but I know I just picked up some Arkham Horror stuff from Dark Horse, and they were about $4 to $5. It's about $3.99 to $4.94. So $4 to $5 is what we're looking at. Now for like special alt covers or variants, we won't take those into consideration, but you're going to pay like upwards of $8 to $10 for that stuff for your annuals. And those are essentially like big groups of comics together. You'll pay quite a bit more for those, but that's a little different, I think. And we didn't really have those back in the day. Right.
In the day. Yeah.
But comic prices are some bull crap, man.
Yeah, they are. And they always have been. And people have constantly complained. I remember working at Page 3. That was a constant complaint. I remember, let's see if I can remember the date. I remember, I think it was 2013. DC came out with this slogan, and it was like, draw the line at $2.99. Apparently that I looked up, and I remember it did not last long. It lasted just under 2 years, and they increased the prices. But I mean, they come out with these Batman and Superman books, and they were just like, oh, we can't put $2.99 on these. We need more money.
No.
And it was just a constant thing. And now they're all the time. They increase, like you said, from $5 to $8, depending on what comic book they have. It's so stupid. It's such an expensive hobby.
No doubt. Like I have some
really
DuckTales
is.
comics here. I think I paid $2.99 for mine. That's don't feel like they were that long ago.
It's like the last time looking at median cover price, and it may not have been, because we're looking at medians and averages. So I'm sure there's somebody going out there, I just paid $2 for Adventures of Conan in My Little Pony World. Like, I get it. Yes, there are some that are outside those ranges. We're looking at the average. But yeah, so averages were at $2.99 we're looking at our big three. So Marvel, DC, and then whatever Archie, like Image, Marvel, DC, and Image. Comics,
Dark Horse.
Yeah, dark. Yep. So our big heavy hitters were around $2.99 in 2011. That was the last time, 14 years ago.
Wow. Yeah, it's real dumb. And like even like back issues don't go under most of your back issues. You look at them, unless there are some like just trash books. But a lot of back issues, Marvels especially, it was like $1 after a while.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
I think comics.
Oh,
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, so we're gonna move on. I want to talk about toys and tabletop RPG books, and then board games. But comics, I think, is the biggest discrepancy from what it should, quote unquote, should be in today money versus what it is. And again, I'm not an economist. I don't. Maybe there's a reason for that. I do think comic art is much different, much more increased in value in what we're getting versus what we were getting in 1961, right?
Yeah.
The art and the physicality of a comic is more. I don't know that the size of comics has significantly increased. I don't think you're getting more pages necessarily.
No.
Than you were getting back then.
No, don't think so. Let's see.
But we're looking, about 32 pages, 28 pages, about the same thing. But yeah, I think comics are the most egregious of, hey, they've just increased, just straight up increased, rather than adjusted for inflation over time versus what they were when they started. And maybe what they were wasn't sustainable. Who am I to say? I still think $4 for a book you want is pretty reasonable. It's just when you're buying in bulk, if you're collecting several different runs at the same time, that's expensive every month. For me as a casual comic collector where I'm like, oh, new Cap's out, I'll go get that. I'm buying 1 to 2 comics a month, if that. That's not a lot. That's what the $5 meal at McDonald's I skipped or something.
So Google, just a quick Google search. I was looking at the average pages back in 1961. Apparently they reduced the pages from 64 to 48 to 32 due to inflation.
Oh,
so paper cost.
So they reduced what we were getting and raised the price.
Raised the price.
All right. So, it's even worse. You know what? Don't buy comics. F them. Done.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. Let's talk about toys.
Yeah.
Let's talk about toys. Do we think toys? How about toys? Action figures?
Oh, 100%. Those have definitely increased. Just buying like birthday presents and stuff for my niece and nephews. Outrageous prices on toys. I don't know what kind of inflation, we're looking at, but I feel like it. I feel like it's the same thing as like video games, like technology is increasing. So they're raising the price, but I feel like you might prove me wrong. We'll find out.
I don't remember a whole lot about prices of like little toys and stuff. Like all the stuff my parents bought me, I just never really looked at the price of that stuff. I would assume it was between $5 and $10 for like a Ninja Turtle single action figure.
That's actually what I looked at. So I looked at specifically He-Man, and the Ninja Turtles, and Barbie. Because we're nerds. People are Barbie nerds. We got to bring up Barbie, right?
Shoot, yeah, she can do everything, dude.
So a He-Man action figure when He-Man debuted in 1984. This is just He-Man, just a regular. There's nothing special. Not some limited edition or anything.
Yeah.
Was $4.99. In today's money, that's $13.79.
Oh.
Ninja Turtles were $4 in 1988. In today's money, that's $11. Right at $11. Okay. If we go to Walmart.com right now and try to find a He-Man, you have trouble finding just like a regular toy of. Just because I don't think there's been anything. There was a She-Ra show on Netflix and some other stuff. There's not been anything like super recent with him for them to produce. Like everything they're producing for He-Man's a nostalgic hit. So it's like, here's the NECA. We talk about NECA.
Yeah.
Anybody that doesn't know what NECA is, that's the like big. It's a national. That's not the National Electrical Contractors Association. Mercy. National Entertainment Collectibles Association. They produce the super high quality collectible toys.
Look, let me mention this so somebody doesn't eat us up in the comments. Master of the Universe does have a series that's like coming out constantly. If you go to bigbadtoystore.com.
Oh,
really?
Yep, bigbadtoystore.com. The reason I know is because one of my coworkers orders these like crazy. But yep, you can see like pre-orders on Thundercats original Skelra, stuff like that. So
I was gonna say Netflix did the series back in 2021.
Thought that was the She-Ra thing. I didn't know they did.
Yeah, they did a He-Man.
Oh, okay.
That was Mark Hamill voiced crap. I'm blanking out on the skeleton villain.
Skeletor?
Skeletor. Thank you. I know it's I knew
What's
it was.
that? What's that skeleton's name?
What's that skelly guy?
Something
I knew
grand and smart.
I knew it was something skeleton, but I was blanking out on what it was. What his name was. But yeah, he voiced Skeletor. But so it's fairly new. But yeah, NECA is the only one I know for a fact was coming out with figures.
All right, here I'm looking. Dude, these guys are expensive. So this is much more than. So again, He-Man, like the original, like little short He-Man action figures. I'm sure all three of us probably owned one at some point.
Yep.
I remember I had a Ram Man and a Manny Faces.
I had
were $5.99 in 1984. I'm looking right now at these Masters of the Universe figures, and they're much higher quality than what we were getting in 1984. But, and I wasn't even born in 1984, but they're like $18, $20. The like the cars we're looking at like $20 to $35.
You say better quality, but I mean the old He-Mans, they shared the same mold as some of the wrestler figures.
Oh yeah. Well, they were like solid bricks of plastic. A lot of them were like there was no karate chop action to my Ram Man. You shoved his legs up into his chest and he rocketed it across the room.
Yeah, like He-Man and Skeletor and them had armor. I remember that with like the damaged armor that would flip.
Mm-hmm.
It was just them wearing armor, and then like the center piece would rotate so that it would like you could hit the other, you could have one hit the other one, and it would flip, and then now the armor was damaged, and that was that was their big impressive line in He-Man.
Oh,
so looking at Ninja Turtles for Walmart, what I found if you're getting like the Nickelodeon style Ninja Turtles, they're about $8 to $10. Fair. If you're getting the other style Ninja Turtles, like the ones that are more faithful to the original toys, you're looking $20, something like that.
I mean, Ninja Turtles was created to sell toys, so
yeah. Oh, did they sell toys to my mother and father?
Yeah. Well, I'm looking here and I'm seeing all these. It's like these prices, and they say excludes tariff surcharge. And you know what? We're not a political podcast. We're going to leave that alone.
Excludes tariffs. God Almighty.
Yep. I think it's good that we're paying this extra money.
Oh, jeez, that's terrifying.
Terrifying.
Yeah. I found this thing. I found a website.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Did you guys see? And I can't remember if I sent it to the podcast chat, but it was Master Chief in the arbor standing there. He goes, "Everybody's worried about tariffs. The only tear I'm worried about is I'm wondering if my pecker's going to tear if I don't stop jerking it."
Jeez. Oh my goodness.
We're worried about my wiener tariff. Top pull.
Yeah, I see. This is what I was talking about.
What in the fuck did you say?
So I'm looking at this WISN. It's an ABC, I guess, news. And it's like toyflation. How much would your favorite childhood cost? And one of them was Mr. Potato Head from 1952. And apparently that's the picture they have. Apparently that was the original Mr. Potato Head.
Because it was connect. You actually take a real potato for that and put stuff on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the original Mr. Potato Head. Yeah, it's awful. That's like what a way to tell your children you don't like them. Like,
dude,
you know how we get little Tommy to toil in the mines? We buy him a Mr. Potato Head, and he's too terrified to sleep, and he goes outside and hides in the darkest place he can find.
You better get back to work, Tommy, or Mr. Potato Head will get you.
Mr. Potato Head does not tolerate slackers.
Simon Says in 1979 was $30.
Ooh,
Yeah, that's what. So moving on to board games.
I don't know that I paid $30 for that today.
Yeah.
I like Simon, but I don't think I do that today.
What I was looking at. So Simon Says you said was what, $30 when, Aaron?
In 1979.
1979. I looked at Monopoly.
Oh.
So if we were looking at just basic board game, and then I looked up Hero Quest, but it's a little different to compare the older Hero Quest with the current Hero Quest.
Yeah.
But Monopoly, first released in the United States in 1935. And how much did it cost? Anybody want to guess?
$2.
$6.
$2.
Down $2.
$2.
Nice.
Hit it right on the head. Now, today, that version of Monopoly in today money would be $47.
Oh, okay. That's expensive for Monopoly.
Yeah.
Now, how much is it to buy a typical copy of Monopoly now?
$20.
$20. So it's actually half the price of what it quote unquote should be.
Easier to produce parts, I guess.
Yeah. When we look at that for board games now, the contemporary board game market, I think it's difficult to judge. I think a lot of the inflation issues, I mean, the tariffs are hitting it hard. A lot of stuff is produced in China.
Yeah.
Again, we're seeing so many board game creators and producers and designers that are speaking out about this stuff and going, and I don't want to get super into it, but it's interesting read. If you fly in these circles and you're part of the nerdosphere, look up the tariffs in the board game industry and see how read some of the thought pieces and the opinion pieces there. Cause it's not great, Bob.
It's a fortunate thing that we're not a political podcast because
It's fortunate that we're not political, that we don't get into all this stuff. Yeah. I mean, but this is part of it, man. This is the cost of being a nerd. Is the cost of being a nerd going to increase? Yes. I mean, it's just a flat yes.
Yep.
Well, a lot of the nerd culture comes from foreign cultures.
It requires international trade.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I feel for the weebs, man. Weeb's about to get hit hard.
Oh man, the manga scene is going to get real expensive.
The hot glue scene about to change completely.
It's going to be cheaper to get a real life than a body pillow.
Wow.
It's those Thai hookers, dude.
It's those Thai hookers. You're going to have to you have to go to Thailand. Don't bring her here because she'll last 3 days for she gets somewhere.
Just take her and move to El Salvador.
We are not a political podcast. But I'm
Good
mad.
thing we're not a political podcast.
But we're just
you want to see
mad.
politics, add me on Facebook. You can see all my rants.
You don't do it.
Let's move on. Let's move on to the last little bit. Talk about TTRPG books before Lee's got to go. Lee, I know you said you had to head out. I guess Cody and Travis aren't coming. We love you guys. Sorry you couldn't get here. Travis putting together a desk. Cody said he took a shower till 9 the other night. So Cody's washing himself. Travis is being industrious.
It's a dirty boy.
Travis is a dirty, dirty boy. No, Cody. Well, maybe Travis too. Maybe they need to wash together. Maybe they are washing together.
Wow.
Maybe putting your desk together was a euphemism.
Putting a desk together?
Maybe they're putting a desk together in the shower.
Yeah, there you go. That's the Hills Have Nerds fan fiction, and we're commissioning you, the listeners, to write it. Send it to us at thehillshavenerds@gmail.com. All right, let's talk about TTRPG books real quick. So I sent a picture.
You did.
Of a table.
Are we looking at item table 1 or
item table 1? We're looking at Dungeons and Dragons rule books. I need to credit where this came from, and I'll have to look it back up, but I did not make this table. And so what we're looking at here is the year these TTRPG books, we're talking about tabletop RPGs, so old D&D, all that. So 1979 was our D&D basic. 1974 was OD&D, so original D&D. The wood grain box had 3 books. This even breaks it down. I'm going to post this with the show notes. This will be in the Discord, guys, if you're interested in checking this out. because this breaks it down by number of pages, how many words per dollar you're getting as you break it down. It's really, really cool. There's a lot of work went into this. So if we look at our OD&D box and supplements from 1976, had 6 books. It was $25. Today, that would be $109. Would be $109 today. You would get about 1,200 words per dollar spent. Now we go to our D&D basic, which was kind of like the watered down, quick, almost equivalent to like a quick start guide nowadays. One booklet was $5, $16 today. You're getting 2,400 words per dollar.
Jeez.
With that. Just to hit on another heavy book. What? Sorry, Aaron. What were you going to say?
D&D books now are like $50.
That's what I'm saying. So let's go down to 5th edition. So this is as of 2018. So let's pull up. One of you guys mind to pull up what the 5th edition rule book's looking like right now? And these are groups. This is not like a singular book, because this is like the Dungeon Master's Guide, Player's Guide, and the Monster Manual together.
Player's Handbook 60, if I'm looking at that correct, but it looks like it's on sale from 80.
Yeah.
Dungeon Master's Guide. Amazon has it for 46. It's on sale. It's normally $50, $49.95.
Yeah, so it's $50 now for that, and you're getting how many words per dollar? So about 10,000 words per dollar for that. It's actually a better value for those books than the older stuff was, because they are bigger. You're getting more. So we look at the number of words, and that doesn't necessarily mean like this is better, that there's more words to it, but you are getting essentially more content, more world building content than you got before. So we're looking at the number of words in the D&D 5th edition was 655,000 versus in our AD&D 1st edition, we have 520,000. And that was a massive outlier from all of the other D&D books of its time.
Yeah.
Because we're looking at AD&D 2nd edition, 540, AD&D 1st edition, 520. The OD&D box was like 130. It's like 5 times or 4 times less. A quarter of as many words and pages in that.
They're actually eating better regarding TTRPGs.
It seems that way, man. And also, I think as nerds, we now have alternatives to the physical. We talked about this in our digital versus physical episode. We have PDFs. We have things like Drive-Thru RPG. We have, Chaosium with Call of Cthulhu that's releasing PDF copies of their stuff at a premium, or not at a premium, but at, significantly reduced prices to the hardcover. Now, collectors want the hardcovers. I want to get hardcovers in my Call of Cthulhu stuff. But if I'm just looking to pick up like a little scenario and run through, those PDFs are great. I can have them on my phone. They're super accessible and they're cheap. And it's still, you have it and I can print it out. I can go out to Kinko's or Costco or the IT room where I work and print these out for very cheap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think we as tabletop gamers are eating better. Like you said, I really think we are. Now, the singular books are a lot, like $50, $60 for a book is a lot. But then, again, you look at what do you need then to participate with that book? You need that book. You don't really need that book. You can get it on a PDF for half the price. You get it on a PDF for half the price and you just need some dice, and you don't even need multiple sets of dice. Just need some dice and another friend.
Oh, don't you lie
and that's
to
it.
People.
You don't need extra dice.
Yeah, you don't need extra dice. Dude, all of these, if anybody thought like that ever, every single one of these industries collapses.
We
are Mad Max style within the night. If the world just all of a sudden went, you know what? I only need one copy of Skyrim. I only need one copy of Monopoly. Maybe I don't need to buy every comic. Maybe I don't need every set of dice that comes out.
It's like, well, I have enough hours left in video games in my backlog to last me till I die. I guess I can quit buying games now.
Oh gosh.
The sirens of the towns would be blaring. straight to El Salvador. All right. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because we talked about comics and that was the most egregious overpricing. And then TTRPGs were just such a great value versus what we were getting, is what we were paying for before. Because again, looking at words per dollar, I think is a really good breakdown this table does. So that D&D basic edition, we were getting 2,400 words per dollar, or the original wood grain box, you're getting 800 words per dollar. You look at Osric that came out, and this was, oh Lord, I'm trying to remember what Osric stands for. It's like original. Give me 2 seconds.
Old school reference and index compilation.
Old school reference and index compilation. So it's a fantasy role playing system that like pulls from like the original AD&D. It is we had that episode on spiritual successors. It is a spiritual successor to that.
Oh, okay.
And so we look at Osric, and this is not, this isn't D&D. This is the other guys. Right. This is a retro clone. But the player's handbook, or the paperback for that, $15. You're getting 21,000 words per dollar for that in those books. That is the best value by far on this list.
Yeah.
That's by awesome. A magnitude, by orders of magnitude. Yeah.
For those cost conscious nerds out there, all 3 or 4 of you.
I mean, everybody's soon to be a cost conscious nerd, man.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. But anybody got anything else to add? Bring up anything we want to touch back on Nintendo Switch or
I'm like poor that? And I'm starting to realize why.
Are you gonna pre-order? You guys gonna pre-order a Switch too?
I'll be there Thursday, sitting in line.
Yeah.
When is I saw some GameStops are doing like midnight releases.
He called note and told me he'd open at noon.
Okay.
So he called today at school. The manager was like, "Hey, you're on this list, man, for a Switch 2. Do you still want one?" I said, "Yes, I do."
Yeah. I think I'm gonna hold off pre-ordering because it seemed like I said, in the UK, it didn't seem like it was that bad for the pre-orders. That being said, it may be terrible. But I think I'm going to hold off because I want to get if they do a special like Pokemon style one like they did for Scarlet and Violet.
Oh, fair.
I want one of those. And so I'd rather not buy 3 because I'm going to buy one for my kid. Don't listen to this, Riley. And I'm going to buy one for myself.
I will say that I remember the Switch came out and I bought the red and blue one. And then they came out with the Animal Crossing one, and it was like this teal color, and I was so upset because I didn't have that one.
All right, but so I think it's sorry, go ahead.
But I'll probably still pre-order Switch 2, probably pick it up.
But I think that's a good spot to end it on as we, just kind of begrudgingly admit we're going to order this thing. You going to buy it? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like we said, we're hypocrites.
Well, I want to hear from people. I would really love to hear listeners feedback here. So Lee had to step out, so there's a good time to end it. I think it was a good conversation here. We want you guys in on the conversation. I want to know your thoughts. I want to know your thoughts on the board game industry currently. I want to know your thoughts on the comic industry, on what you think is going to happen to nerddom. Right? This is an important conversation. We're at a turning point in nerddom and in just global nerd relations, for lack of a better term. What are your thoughts on the Switch 2? What are your thoughts on the price increase or the accessories, which we really didn't touch on that much? Let us know. You can let us know in a couple different ways. You can email us at heelshavenerds@gmail.com. There is no D. That's heelshavenerds@gmail.com. You can come on our Facebook. We have all kinds of great things going on Facebook. We post when we're going live on YouTube. I'm currently doing a playthrough of a Pokemon ROM hack called Pokemon Evolved. We'll be doing that live on the YouTube couple nights a week. You can see when we go live there. On the Facebook, come on our YouTube. That's where we go live. That's where we post shorts and video content. We're trying to get more of that out. As of this recording, our Holler Critters Set 2 review may be posted. Hopefully, if I can get that out. We got all kinds of new shorts and stuff going up there. And then come inside our Discord where you can talk to the nerds in real time. Come inside the Holler, come hang out, sit a spell. Let's talk about the world's troubles and all the toys we all love. All the links to that are going to be in the show notes. You can find us by searching The Heels Have Nerds on any of those sites. For Pixel Bro Lee, you can find him on Twitch by searching Pixel Bro Lee. You can find him on YouTube by searching Pixel Bro Lee. You can find him on TikTok and Instagram and all the other stuff by searching Pixel Bro Lee. Get in while the getting's good. He's putting out all kinds of great retro gaming content. Go check him out. Come to his Twitch. You can hang out, watch him play all kinds of retro games. He's working on beating so many games this year. I think he's about halfway done with it. He wanted to beat 20 games. He's about halfway done. I think he's about to extend that to a little more. I don't know. Go aggravate him. Tell him he needs to beat more. Aaron, where can the good people find you?
You can find me in Discord as always. Starting to post every Tuesday. I post up stuff on Facebook, so we can whatever random things I'm posting up. I'm trying to post some trivia stuff, or probably on the side of the road begging for money so that I can afford my Switch 2 pre-order.
Yeah. And guys, if you've stuck out this long, keep an eye out at the end of May when we hit our 2-year anniversary of The Heels Have Nerds. We are doing a live episode, just like we did a year and a half ago when we did our first live. It's actually just about a year ago to the day. I think about 13 months ago, we did our first live episode. And it almost gave me a heart attack, a stress stroke, whatever it will. This one will probably do the same, but we will be doing a live episode on May 28th to celebrate the 2-year anniversary of The Heels Have Nerds. Come in, hang out. We'll be interacting with chat, talking live there. We're still not 100% sure if we're going to be playing games or trying to do any of that. We're ironing all that out in the process. That's a month away, so we got to get it done. But we appreciate all of you. Thank you all for hanging out. Thank you all for listening to The Heels Have Nerds. Thank you for being a nerd. And we will see you next time on the 14th of April with our media catch-up. Y'all take care.
Bye.